a perverted man, in order to continue his own lineage. He forcibly kidnapped a female wolf from the back of the mountain. After 3 days and 3 nights with her, the she-wolf's belly really grew. The man was overjoyed. Kneeling on the ground, he thanked God for the blessing. B. At a passing feng shui master shook his head and sighed. He said the man would not live long because a human-wolf union will give birth to a demonic child. And demons have no human nature. Once born, they will kill their brother and father. The man was scared out of his wits. He kicked the wolf out of his house that day. And that was that. The wolf was forced to go into the mountains with a big belly. And one night, 10 months later, my wolf mother tried her best to give birth to me. But I was born in the middle of winter, when the snow was falling. In order to keep me alive. She didn't dare to go out to look for food, she could only protect me in her arms. She used her fur to keep me warm. When she was hungry, she fed me with the only milk she had. 3 days passed like this. I was about to freeze to death. An old man picking up herbs found me. The she-wolf didn't stop him. She just looked back at me and left in silence. The old man who picked me up was my current master. When I found out about my mom from him, I went to the mountains several times to look for her, but I couldn't find any trace of the she-wolf. But there was one strange thing. Our village was very poor at that time. Other children didn't even have enough to eat. But I could always eat fresh meat. Because every time I went to the mountains, I always found a few dead pheasants or rabbits by accident. Master never asked me where they came from. He just stewed them for me. It wasn't until something happened to an old hunter in the village. I didn't know who sent me the game. That day, the old hunter came to see Master for help. He was a famous fortune teller in the village. Unfortunately, he was out of town that day. I thought the old hunter was just here to tell fortunes. But he looked so worried. He was as anxious as an ant in a hot pot. I couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong, Uncle Zhang? What's wrong?" After hesitating for a moment, Uncle Zhang came over and asked in a low voice, "The ocean. You've been traveling with your master since you were a kid. How much do you know about those things?" I nodded my head. "Hey, buddy. I know he's referring to those mysterious things. Then help me see what's wrong with this hand." Uncle Zhang lifted up his sleeve. I was shocked when I saw it. There was a deep wound on his arm. It looked as if he'd been bitten by some wild animal. 2 rows of bloody teeth. Marks looked extremely creepy. I hurriedly asked Uncle Zhang, "What's wrong with you?" He took a heavy breath and slowly told me. It turns out that 2 days ago, he was hunting in the mountains and came across a lone wolf. The wolf looked as tall as half a man. He thought he could get a good price for such a big wolf. So he secretly shot the wolf to death. But sure, as he was about to carry it down the mountain to sell it for money, the wolf suddenly came to life and bit him. He dropped his gun in pain and the wolf ran away every day. But it's been 2 days since then. The old hunter's wound not only didn't get better every night, the pain and the blood flowed. He was afraid that he had touched something dirty. That's why he came to see the master. When I heard that, I yelled at Uncle Zhang, "Tell me, where did you fight that wolf?" The reason I was so anxious, I wasn't worried about the old hunter's wound. I was afraid that the wolf he shot was the wolf mother, who gave birth to me. Uncle Zhang was stunned by my yelling. He ran all the way up the mountain with me. About half an hour later, we came to a big tree. There was still a clear bloodstain there and there was a lot of blood. My heart immediately tightened. She was shot and bled so much. Is Wolf Mother in any danger? I hurriedly searched along the bloodstain. But I searched for the whole afternoon but found nothing. It was getting late. We had to go back to the village. On the way, I felt uneasy. If anything happened to Mrs. Wolf, I'd never let that old man go. When we got home, Master was sitting in the hall drinking tea. Uncle John was surprised to see him. He immediately went up to my master and showed him his arm. Master just took one look and said coldly, "How dare you touch the things on the mountain? You really have a lot of guts. I'll go back and apply urine on it for one night. Remember, no more hunting on this mountain. If anything happens, don't come back to me." Master is still very respected in our village. The old hunter will do as he says. After he left, I asked Master anxiously, "Is the wolf the old hunter shot my wolf mother?" Master didn't answer. He just looked in the direction of the back of the mountain and muttered, "The cycle of karma is unforgiving. I am afraid that tonight, Mr. Zhang." I didn't think about what my master said. All I could think about was the image of my mom in a pool of blood. I fell asleep without realizing it, but in the middle of the night, I felt an itch on my face. I tried to open my eyes, but I couldn't. So I went back to sleep. The next morning when I opened the store door, I found a fat rabbit that hadn't been dead for long. I happily carried it to my master. But my master's face immediately turned dark. The ocean. From now on, we won't eat this kind of wild game. There are some things we can't afford to mess with. I was confused. Master obviously loves eating wild game. Why did he say something like that today? And here are these things that Master is talking about. Although I was full of questions, I listened to my master's advice. I gave this wild bird to my next-door neighbor, Liu Ruine. After dinner, Master sat in the store and drank tea. When I saw this, I asked with a doubtful look on my face, "Master, aren't you going abroad to read people's fortunes today?" But he shook his head and said, "I am not going. There is something more important in the village." I wondered what was going to happen today. But I didn't think he was joking with his serious expression. As expected, in the afternoon, the village headman pushed the door in a hurry. He said that the old hunter in the village died in his house. He asked my master to help him arrange the funeral. When I heard this, my heart gave a twitch. The old hunter the village head said was Uncle Zhang, who came to see me the other day. Why did he suddenly die? But the master didn't have the slightest surprise. He picked up the toolbox he had prepared. He followed the village chief with a calm face. In the past, whenever there was a white wedding, Master would always ask me to come along. But this time he told me to stay home and not to go anywhere. Although I was suspicious, I obeyed and watched the store by myself. About half an hour later, a rural woman of about 40 came to the door. She was walking with a limp as if her leg was injured. I told her that my master wasn't here today. I told her to come back some fair time if she wanted to read fortunes. But the woman shook her head and said, "I am here specifically to see you." I gave the woman a suspicious look. Looking for me, she looked at me and nodded and continued, "It's nothing. It's just that my leg is injured. Can you please help me with it?" Then she pulled up her pants, revealing a small mountainous wound, and a hole in the center the size of a thumb. I was shocked. Isn't this a gunshot wound? How could a peasant woman be wounded by a gun? Although I was puzzled, I took out my medical kit and examined her wound. "Auntie, the bullet is still inside. I don't have any anesthesia here. Why don't I take you to the hospital?" But the woman insisted that I help her. She said she didn't need anesthesia for this wound. Seeing the woman's determination, I could only take out a knife from the medicine cabinet. I carefully cut the flesh of her wound. I had no experience in treating gunshot wounds. When I dug out the bullet, there was already a lot of blood on the floor. Anyone else would have fainted from the pain, but the woman didn't say a word. She just looked a little pale. Half an hour later, I had just finished dressing her wound. But the woman stood up and walked out. She said, "I don't have any money today. I don't have any money today. I'd like to take these as a token of my appreciation." I quickly refused. 2 rabbits of this size, selling them to a restaurant would cost at least a few $100s. Master would scold me if he knew I took so much. But the woman insisted that I take them. She said she'd bring me more if it wasn't enough. I was even more baffled by her words. Without waiting for my refusal, the woman went straight to the door. When I got home, I saw a large bloodstain on the floor. I was about to clean it up with a mop. At that moment, my master came in from outside. When he saw the blood on the floor, he immediately became alert. He asked me who had come to the house. I didn't think twice and told him the truth. It was a woman in her 40s from the countryside. Master laughed coldly at that. "Pat woman. Your mom came to see you.